Hey guys, I'm Allie. I'm responsible for slide 18, so the one with Speak and The Great Gatsby. And the way I would teach this is I would teach Speak as a full book and then The Great Gatsby as a full book. And I would assign the students the kind of filter of looking at the gender roles and looking at the women's inability to have a voice and speak up. So if you read Speak first, Melinda as a character is unable to speak because she is scared that her trauma would get worse, or her situation would get worse, or people might not believe her, or people might think poorly of her. However, in The Great Gatsby, Daisy, Jordan, other female characters feel unable to speak up because it was a societal norm that they didn't really have a voice, and also they weren't taken seriously. They were kind of pushed to the side. So in both books, they don't really have a voice, or they feel that them speaking up might actually make their condition worse. And so it's interesting to look at them because they're so many decades apart, and characters are ages apart, but they're still both women, and they still are both missing this ability to speak up. So I think a lot of people look at The Great Gatsby in a lot of different ways. They focus on Tom Buchanan and Gatsby way more than they would focus on people like Daisy or Jordan or even Myrtle. So a lot of people look at Daisy often as either a villain or being innocent, but I think it would be interesting if you read Speak first and you read about Melinda's experience with her being assaulted and her being bullied, and it makes you think when you get to The Great Gatsby, what put Daisy in this situation where she, hit Myrtle with her car, but she doesn't feel comfortable to speak up and say that she did it. She isn't able to speak up in different circumstances when Tom is yelling at Gatsby. She feels like she can't speak up, and we look at her as being weak, maybe, or being kind of vindictive, but when you read Speak First, you see her through this gendered lens that maybe something put her here, maybe her circumstances, like Melinda's in Speak, got her here. So I think that it's good to look at books through different lenses, especially if this is an AP class or with 12th graders. And if you want to really add an extra layer here, I would go with a little bit of gender literary theory, and you could really, through that, transform how students look at the character, the plot, and how they even look at gendered patterns in the world. And most importantly, with books from time periods like this, you could appraise the author's bias and the influence on the female characters within it. So I am working with seniors now, and I can't stress enough how impactful I think this technique would be, and I'm actually going to try to implement it in my AP because I'm seeing what a drag these students think reading these canonical books are, but really they're so relatable if you can get to the heart of them. So I think using these YAs or contemporary fiction as an access point is actually so helpful. And so using Speak to get to Great Gatsby is kind of the perfect link because I really feel passionately about both books. And I think out of the four pairs, these might be the most seemingly disconnected. But when you really look at it and you focus in on the female characters and their lack of voice, there's a really significant connection. And I think that students will really get something from it, and they would take it away and they'd be able to apply it to real life, and I think that that's the beauty of the filter. Students can also, in addition to using this gendered filter, use whatever filter they see. So another one might be social classes or social exclusion, because those are also filters for these too. There's a lot of things you could do with the filters besides the one that I would assign. Some people are teaching it where they could pick the filter, which is also really great. I think for these two books that it's just more obvious that the filter is the gendered lens and the lack of voice. So I think it's important to just point it out and go with it. There's so many ways to use this. I'm so glad you guys are talking about this. Hope you have a great class.